I don't think I've ever read a book I didn't like.
Wow.
I think I haven't read.
Well, I think it's different when you read 60 books a year versus one.
Damn, she said you look like you don't read.
Hello. Hi. How is everybody doing? Don't worry. I'll wait. Get your answers in. We're looking for the long answers of how are you doing. Hope everybody has a fun little drink, a fun little snack. Today, well not today, the other day, but in this video today, we are going to be visiting some indie bookstores in Columbus, Ohio. The idea kind of came to life on our trip in New York City. I previously posted this video where we went around bookstores in New York City and ranked them. However, Columbus is really a hot spot for some indie bookstores, so much so you get little passports to stamp the different bookstores, the different local indie bookstores that you've been into. Unfortunately, we picked up this passport at the last bookstore that we went to. This would have been good if we found this at the first bookstore we went to, because then we would have known literally exactly where to head. But we just used Google Maps, Yelp. We have 4 to 5 bookstores on the roster. I don't know that we'll go to all of them, but yeah, we're gonna search some here. Brian was recommended the Book Loft by a friend who lives in Columbus.
I just heard there's a bunch of different doors in there and it's gonna look really cool.
We're trying to find parking, but it's actually super busy.
The unspoken rule is if you don't live in the city you get a ticket and you don't have to pay it.
Oh, period. We're gonna go to the Book Loft first. We've heard good things. Today, I don't know if I'm gonna buy a book everywhere, but in every bookstore, I have 2 friends with me today, Gia Angelina and Adam Bryan.
Yes, I'm an acquaintance.
And both of them are gonna pick a book from each store for me to purchase and read at some point, but that's the plan.
Onward and upward.
Onward and upward. As far as where we started our day, we started at the Book Loft. Here's its little page. I don't have the stamp to prove it, but we do have the footage. The Book Loft is in German Village. It's a very cute little area. They had like a little pop-up, different little local businesses that were selling different things, and it was very cute. We stopped and looked around a bit. And then there's a lot of restaurants in the area. It looked like a very cute neighborhood around it too. But we went to the Book Loft, and this is like a Columbus landmark. I'll read you what this says. It's located in a pre-Civil War era building that was once a general store, a saloon, and a Nickelodeon cinema. But now it's made up of 32 rooms of books. It is a little bit of a maze, quite confusing. You get a map. We did not visit all 32 rooms, I don't believe, but it was very busy. It was a Saturday afternoon. It was the first Saturday around here that really felt like fall weather. So people were out and about, and plus there was this market outside, so it was very busy.
Every now and then I feel Brian like start to push me a little bit, like like there's not 800 people in here.
But when you first get there, actually before you even walk in, you walk outside and there's a bargain book section, and I mean books are $10 and less, and some of them are, I mean, pretty new, pretty popular. But then we walked in, you get a map to go through, and we were going up into the rooms, and some woman stops Gia, and she looked at Gia and said, "Do you know how I get out of here?"
I said, "No ma'am, I think you're just a part of the bookstore now."
But so it was pretty confusing. Guys, how do we get out of here?
Left. You can definitely get out that way.
It says exit that way. I don't know, you follow the map. I'm not really good at maps.
Wait.
But we were going in and out and about, and then I let Gia pick a book for me. It was, I mean, it's very well organized. If you got the map and like knew exactly what genre you were looking for, or especially if you went like on a weekday where people are at work and it's not busy, I mean, you could browse in there. It could be an all-day event if you enjoy books. It was just such small rooms of the 32 rooms that if there was, you know, more than 10 people there, it was like suffocating. And like you couldn't really browse because people are trying to look in different sections. Like I said, my friend Gia picked a book out there for me, because if we're gonna be tier ranking, if we're gonna be putting 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th for these bookstores, the only way to get that done precisely and accurately and efficiently, I think you have to purchase a book there, right? Because that gives you the full experience of going to a bookstore. That way you know, am I gonna get a cutie little bookmark when I check out here or no? Because that goes into the ranking. Gia picked my book out there and she got The Full Moon Coffee Shop. This is in the genre of like magical realism, and the Full Moon Coffee Shop is a coffee shop that is never found in the same spot. It bounces around, and the only way that you get to go to this coffee shop is if you encounter the quote right cat. So that sounds like fun. I am not a huge thriller girly. They just all, I have a point with saying this. I'm not a big thriller girly, and that's normally what people read on airplanes, and like I'll read them and I get through them fast, but I'm never like over the moon about them. They're always just mid for me. I think this is going to be a perfect airplane read because you could get through this so fast. It's 200 some pages. The pages are teeny tiny, and I mean, I feel like it's probably a pretty fun story to follow. I don't really know what Gia's inspiration for picking this up was, but the two picks that she was choosing from, they both had a cat on the cover, so maybe that had something to do with it.
Hi, Kiki. I am a cat.
But she ended up going with this one, and then her mom had sent her money for like doing shopping, and so they actually bought this for me, so I didn't even pay for this one. Thanks, Gia and Stacy. The next place we went to, and let me find it in our little passport, the next place that we did go to, that was Prologue Bookshop. This is on North High Street in Columbus, and this says it features a thoughtfully chosen selection of literature featuring works in translation, creative nonfiction, literary fiction, and booksellers' favorites. And they host weekly book clubs and events. First impressions, Prologue is already above Book Loft.
Yeah, that store, Prologue
Nice,
was sick.
comfortable. It says they feature booksellers' favorites. That is one of my favorite things going into a bookstore, is reading like the booksellers, the book employees, the bookstore employees, their little notes and descriptions about the books, which books they love, because I mean they spend a great deal of their time looking at new releases, putting books on shelves, reading books, I'm sure. Outside they also have some clearance books outside, and then you go inside and this is just a one floor open space comfortable situation. But you first walk in and there's a whole rack that is all the booksellers' favorites, and it has like little descriptions on why it is their favorite. But then even as you go into the other rows that are just like a row of literary fiction, a row of fantasy, a row of romance, a row of nonfiction, even those will have little blurbs here and there for like what the booksellers had to say about these books. And that's one way to convince me to buy a book, is just the bookseller saying like, hey, you should definitely read this. It's very well organized. It's much smaller. It was busy, but it was like a comfortable busy. They had a cute little seated section that Gia got a video of me sitting on. Oh, and I forgot to say at the last one, you did get a cutie little bookmark. Book Loft does do the bookmarks. But while we were at Prologue, now Prologue would be a place that I would probably frequent pretty often. In comparison, like I would go spend a day here and then like go shop on the street if I lived in Columbus, whereas Book Loft, I would probably be only going there if I, one, figured out the times where it wasn't busy, or two, if I was looking for something very specific, very niche that you wouldn't be able to just find at one of the smaller bookstores, like something that you only would be ordering off Amazon. But if you're like me and you don't really order things off Amazon, you like to go and get them, that would be when I would use the Book Loft for it. But back to Prologue, I would probably frequent there more just to like be out and about for the day. Brian picked out my read there, and he went ahead and read all of the little booksellers things, and that's how he picked this read.
This is one of the staff's picks. I read the staff's recommendation and I read what the book is about. This actually looks fire.
Let me see the back.
The only thing I'm worried about is that she might have already read this.
He got Darkly, and he actually bought this for me because he didn't want to ruin the surprise until it was purchased. But this is a YA psychological thriller, and we're following Arcadia, who's been obsessed with this gaming company called Darkly, hence the title, and they produce a lot of terrifying toys and games, and there's like some suspicious death that happened, but she gets recruited to be an intern for this company, and that is what I know of it. I think that's a pretty good intro into the book. The cover is very pretty, and then this is even like that on a shelf. is gonna look stunning. But if we're talking about thrillers, psychological thrillers is way more up my alley. Like The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides is one of my favorite thrillers that I've read. So I think a YA psychological thriller is gonna be good. And it was recommended by Dan. And then we ran into, Dan was at the cash register and he was like, yeah, I don't really read a whole bunch of this, but it was really good for this genre. So I think this will be great for October and the spooky season. They gave out bookmarks too. Yeah, look how cool that is. Oh, okay, so this is an artist based in Columbus too, which that's sick. Then we did try to go to the BookSpace in Columbus, and the BookSpace is actually in here. It's in this little passport. This says the BookSpace has aimed to spread awareness through Columbus, Ohio area through self-education, self-empowerment, and community involvement. In that time, BookSpace has offered quality books in many incarnations and currently shares a space with the dance studio Flux and Flow in Clintonville while also selling online. It was very small in there. When we walked in, we had to walk in through like a side door, and we walked in, nobody was in there, but there's people in the dance studio doing like a yoga class or a dance class. So we could hear people in there, but there's no one in the actual book space. And it was only like one wall had books and then like the little corner wall had books. And there's nobody in there, and we were just like a little bit confused, and it felt like we were interrupting the class and like we weren't supposed to be in there. So we left pretty quick. But I mean, this says that it is a bookstore. It kind of gave off that it was just the dance studio and they happened to sell books as well, but more so for like people who had come to their yoga studio for a yoga or dance class. So I don't know, maybe we were wrong and our social anxiety, mine particularly, just got the best of us. But so we didn't actually go into the book space. But thankfully we were in Clintonville, like I said, and Clintonville has Clintonville Books, which is where we headed next. It's literally like 3 to 4 minutes away from the book space. And so there is that on our little passport. I'm so upset I don't have all of these stamped. But Clintonville was super nice too. Clintonville had probably a smaller selection than Prologue maybe, or maybe about the same. They were both a little bit on the smaller side, but Clintonville actually reminds me of a bookstore up here in Pittsburgh, but I can't remember what the name of it is. But it's just very clean, very organized. It has 2 separate rooms. The main room has new releases, a lot of literary fiction, a lot of cookbooks. We were looking at the cookbooks for a while. They have a little romance section, a small fantasy section, and then the next room over has a whole kids area, a kids sitting area, kids books. It was a very nice bookstore, and if it was close to me, I would frequent Clintonville Books, but if it was like out of the way, there's probably other bookstores I would just head to first. There wasn't anything that like particularly stood out about it. If it was right by you, there's no reason not to go there. They're probably, if you're looking for a new release, they're probably gonna have it. They sell new, used, vintage, and rare books for all ages. They are a community-driven project dedicated to sharing good books with good people at good prices. I did finally pick up a book for myself because I didn't realize that this book was coming out while we were there. But one of my favorite sports romance books that I think is underrated is The Striker by Anna Huang. And The Defender came out on the day that we were out shopping around. I knew it was coming out in October, but I don't know if I wasn't paying attention to the date or whatever. This is a sports romance series, interconnected standalones. The first one is The Striker, which follows someone who plays soccer, kind of like the bad boy, and this girl who's a ballerina. There's dance classes. There is a the teammate situation. In this book, though, I believe we're following that last female main character's older brother in this book, who's on the same soccer team. And I believe the female main character is going to be the coach's daughter, so that'll be fun. I'm definitely excited for this. I know I've only read one book in this series, but if we're talking about sports romance series, I haven't read a whole lot, so like don't die on my hill, but I'll die on my hill. The Windy City series is like pretty like it's mid for me. I mean, I've only read 2 of them so far. I'll read the next one at some point, but I'm not like dying to get to it. This so far, even though I've only read one, I think this is going to be more what Windy City series is to other people. That's what this is going to be for me. I don't think they did bookmarks there. They were selling bookmarks that had art from local artists, which was cool. Maybe I probably should have bought one while we were there, but I don't know. The cash register person started talking about a rewards program, and I was like, I don't live here. So that's what happened. And then after that, this one was kind of just like a random add-on because we were looking for one that would be convenient to be on the way to where we were headed to for this wedding, because we were in Columbus and we needed to head south for Lancaster. So we were looking, and I found Gramercy, which was one of the ones that I did want to go to. This one's Gramercy. This is where I finally got the passport, and I got this one stamped. When we got here, there was a coffee shop, and Brian's blood sugar was dropping and dropping fast. So they had a bookstore, and then there was a cafe, a local cafe attached right next door. And then we headed into the actual bookstore, and I really liked Gramercy. It was super cute. I love that there was a coffee shop right across or attached to it, and it was a local one, like it was in a Starbucks, so you could go in and grab a coffee. Unfortunately, I was already drinking a Celsius, so no coffee was acquired by me, but so we went into the coffee shop and then we walked into the bookstore, and they have like a cutie little kids section in the corner, and then they have the main section, all the bookshelves. It's a small space, but you can like get lost in there. Like the bookshelves are tall, good selection. I definitely would frequent Gramercy for sure. Very comfortable space. When we were there, I was like, well, I've already bought a book at every place, so I should buy a book here because that will again give us the full experience of what we're doing. And they had quite the selection of blind dates with the books, and I've never gotten one. I'm always a little bit scared because when we were at the Ripped Bodice, they had a lot of them, but I could guess what a lot of them were, and I was like, I have that, I've read that, I have that, I read that. Even though I might have been wrong, there's too much of a chance that I already had it. So when we were here, I was looking at them, and a lot of them were kind of October themed. I decided to get a blind book while we were in there because they had a really good selection, good options. This says Dark Academia, Hauntingly Heartbreaking, Secret Societies.
I'm nervous you're gonna already have this.
Oh, and they're doing Halloween. Gramercy's doing Halloween bookmarks. Cute. My guess and my kind of hope is that it's going to be the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake.
Wait, what's the one that you already have that you think it could be this?
Gifted and Talented.
Oh gosh.
Oh my gosh, the way it feels too, it's matte. Wait, everybody look first. Oh. Okay, I've never even heard of this before. Oh my goodness, I actually got really nervous. I just bought the same book. And they didn't charge you more than the book costs. I assumed this would be a little bit more expensive than what the actual book is.
Why? Because of it's blind?
Well, because you get stickers too.
Oh.
It ended up being An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. Now, this is a dark academia book. Talks about violence, desire, power, romance. There is a college that is located in Savannah, but it's not seeable, accessible to just everybody. You have to be invited to the college, and this female main character is invited to the college because she has the power of persuasion. It seems that the ultimate test is to embrace absolute power without succumbing to corruption, and it's a test she's terrified she's going to fail. Okay, that was all of the bookstores. This is the final book stack. If we're going to go as far as ranking them in order, we'll go worst, fifth to first. Fifth is going to be BookSpace because it just is. It's going to be fifth. Next on the list is going to be Clintonville Books, just because there's nothing that really like stood out dramatically for it. It was a good bookstore. It just wasn't life-changing, wasn't earth-shattering. Would I go to it if it was convenient? Absolutely. Would I go to it if it's not convenient? Probably not. Number 3, we're going to go Book Loft because the selection, insane, and I think it would be a great time if it wasn't busy, but it was so busy and chaotic and confusing that it was not a great time. Number 2, we're going to go Prologue. Great time, great selection. I love the little notes on each little book from the booksellers. Love the energy, love the vibe, felt comfortable in there. It was a good place to shop, and there's good shopping around the area, good places to eat around the area. Number 1, we're gonna go Gramercy. That was my favorite one that we went to. I love the coffee shopping right there, and I love that it was a local coffee shop. I love that all these bookstores had a lot of things like promoting local businesses, local artists, giving out bookmarks from local artists. But they had a really good selection, a really good breakdown of everything that was in there. They had a cutie little merch area. Gramercy was just the top tier vibe, and there was good shopping, good eating around it as well, so you could spend the whole day in that area. That's the final ranking. That's what we all came for, right? Anyways, I think if you are going to Columbus, Ohio, I would stop by. I don't know if they all have one of these or if it was just that I happened to tell the bookseller that I was just in the area for the day. But I know for a fact Gramercy has these little indie bookstore passports. So if I was going to do anything differently, I would start at Gramercy and then hop around everywhere else. One that I really wanted to go to was Birdie's Books, but it's way up north in Columbus and we were way down south, so it just like we weren't gonna have time to go there. But there's so many bookstores that don't come up, that are in here that don't come up when you're looking on Google or Google Maps or whatever it is. So I would grab one of these and then hop around bookstores afterwards. But definitely check out Gramercy, check out all these bookstores. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for coming along on the journey, and stay tuned for the next one of these. We're definitely gonna do this in Pittsburgh at some point when I get through more books on my physical TBR and I need to add stuff to the bookshelves. That's when we'll head to Pittsburgh to go ahead and frequent the bookstores in the area. But thanks for watching. Have a wonderful week, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.